Today on the official Marvel podcast, we take a special look back at Marvel Studios Werewolf by Night as we hear from the director, Michael Giacchino, as well as its stars, Laura Donnelly and Gael García Bernal.
I mean, they do a great job, and it's incredible the way that they put everything together and the new technologies that they incorporate. I mean, the new materials for the prosthetics and all of that is incredible.
Plus, we continue our adventures into fear with a comic book deep dive on Ted Sallis, a.k.a. the Infernal Man-Thing.
I'm Preeti Chibber.
And I'm Evan Narcissus.
And this is the official Marvel podcast.
The known universe, with its heroes and marvels. But what of the darkness? In our modern world, this is where monsters dwell, alongside those who hunt and slaughter them with pride. None more prolific than the Bloodstone family, whose patriarch has long controlled the powerful supernatural relic, the Bloodstone. A weapon unlike any other.
In 2022, audiences were introduced to the darker side of the MCU in Marvel Studios Werewolf by Night. Directed by Michael Giacchino, Werewolf by Night is a beautiful black and white homage to monster flicks from the 30s and 40s. It follows monster hunter Jack Russell, played by Gael García Bernal, as he participates in a deadly game for the chance to win the all-powerful Bloodstone, a red gem with mysterious and powerful abilities.
But now, this weapon is in want of a new master, for Ulysses Bloodstone has died. Tonight is his funeral. Hunters have gathered from around the globe. Strangers until this night. For a ceremonial hunt which will decide who next will wield the Bloodstone. And woe to the monster who finds itself among them.
Throughout the special, Jack Russell teams up with Elsa Bloodstone, played by Laura Donnelly, who claims to be the rightful heir to the Bloodstone, and Ted, aka Man-Thing, a monster who was captured and confined to the game's grounds. Oh, and along the way, we learn that Jack Russell is secretly a werewolf.
My word. A monster. Masquerading as one of our own. Desecrating a sacred night.
And since spooky season is right around the corner, we thought it'd be fun to revisit this special presentation from the perspective of those who made it, including how it paid homage to earlier eras of horror movies. To expand on this is Werewolf by Night director Michael Giacchino.
For me, some of the scariest things I saw as a kid watching, all of these old movies on Creature Double Feature, that was big in Philadelphia area, were just the shadows of things. If you saw a shadow creep by a wall, whether it was a defined shadow of a particular creature or just an amorphous shape, that was always so much scarier than anything that you could literally show me on screen. And that's what I kept thinking about, was all of the, how do we do that? How do we embrace that idea? And also, it's like if you have a werewolf movie, my whole thing was in the beginning, I don't want to see him until the very end of the movie. I don't want it to be the kind of werewolf movie where you start out with him, he's in the middle, and then he's at the end. I said it should be a slow buildup to this point where you almost forget you're watching a werewolf movie. You almost forget that that's exactly what you're watching. You go, oh my God, I forgot. Yes, there's a werewolf in this too. So that's really what we were striving for, what I wanted. And I do know that when you get to the werewolf, though, it's like a whole level up. Right? And so you haven't been shown that already. You're not telling the same jokes twice. All of that, my love of everything that Sam Raimi has done and all of these Hammer films. I mean, all of this is just a giant mashup love letter to those movies, which I absolutely loved and lived on growing up.
That tribute to the horror masters that have come before him also helped shape the tone of the film. This included Michael and his team's approach to designing the look of the titular werewolf.
I remember as a kid seeing Werewolf of London and looking at those designs, and I could see the actor's face, even when he was the werewolf. That was something I wanted to embrace for what we were doing and do sort of an amalgam, do a mix where there's enough hair, but there's still also enough of the actor's face so that when he is doing everything he needs to do, all of this physical movement, we're never losing sight of who the actor is. I was afraid that if it was just all hair all the time, that's hard to relate to. But if you keep some of the human element of this character with us, we can relate to that much simpler, much easier. And I feel like it'll be scarier that way as well, because it's that much closer to who we are as people. And I knew lighting was on our side as well. So the other thing I didn't want to do with this character was just constantly have him in full light. I wanted it always to be in shadow or you're catching him because something just blew up or some taser just went off, or you're catching the light of that, because those fragments of images are so much scarier than if we were to just have him in full light and allow you to see him all the time. I felt like just getting glimpses was the thing that horror is all about, right? Horror is all about what you don't know and what you think is about to happen, or what you think you see, or what you think you hear, all of those. And, trying to use that for us as much as possible, that was the goal from day one on this.
Now, of course, a werewolf movie wouldn't be complete without a werewolf transformation scene.
It's time for you to show yourself.
According to Michael, the decision to not show the transformation of his werewolf on screen was a practical decision as much as it was a stylistic choice.
Yeah, when I was first thinking of the transformation and what that could be, what that would be, I also had in my head the time constraints we had, what we were able to do physically. And I also didn't want to do just like an on-camera transformation, you know what I mean? Like a fully on-camera where you see her. Because I felt like I had seen that a million times, and I wasn't going to do it any better than the people I've seen come before me, So I thought, what if it was just his silhouette? And it's funny because this point in the story, the moment you would think is really about Jack turning into this thing, but it's actually about Elsa being trapped with him in this cage. So I said, if we hold on to Elsa and we just keep pushing in on her and we can see his shadow transforming behind her, that will give us everything we need. You'll get the fun and the thrill of seeing the change and hearing him, but we're also going to be on what's important, which is her reaction, her face, her emotions. And that's what I did not want to lose. And I felt if we kept cutting away to him turning, then we lose her. And to me, being with her, she's our surrogate in this scene, as if we were trapped in there with him, she's us. So to see that look on her face was like so vital. So for me, the whole scene just sort of became about her and her reaction to what we are seeing.
Those same constraints that Michael mentioned were also the reason behind the now iconic continuous shot, where we see the werewolf in action for the first time.
When he takes out all of the guards that are in this room, I wanted that to be just one shot and pushing in slowly, because the idea was the escape is the door. And if he just runs through that door, he's fine. But he's also an animal at this point. So he's not really thinking in terms of logic. Like he's not going, oh, door, I got to go to door. If someone jumps in front of him, that's where his focus is going to go, and he's going to deal with that. So as he's slowly making his way towards the door at the end of the hallway, I just wanted to follow him through all that action. And the camera is always just worried about the door. Anything that happens in front of the camera is just bonus, but it's about us getting to the door. And there are moments where he actually jumps off screen and you hear behind us, you'll hear him tearing somebody apart, somebody screaming, and then they get thrown back in front of the camera again. So it was this idea of just letting the chaos play out as it will around us as we just are focused on one thing, which is the escape. And I thought that would be fun because we all see these action scenes, which is just cut, boom, 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 boom. And those are great, but there's something scarier about the intentional I'm not leaving. I'm forcing you to look at this, that sort of a thing.
The werewolf is played by Gael García Bernal, and according to Michael, the role was always going to be played by him. In fact, Michael was the one who recommended Gael to Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige after Michael worked with the actor on Pixar's Coco.
For me, there was never anyone else that could be in that role, and in my mind, he's just one of the best actors on the planet. There are certain people you look back on as we grow up and all our favorite movies and stuff, you can point to people like Harrison Ford and things, who have this thing that no matter what, you're going to look at them. And I feel like Gael has that, and it's in his personality. It's in everything, the way he looks at you. He doesn't even have to say anything. He can just emote. So I felt Gael really was the only person for that.
For Gael García Bernal, getting the call from Michael was thrilling. Not only was he about to join the MCU, but he was joining it as a monster. Here's what Gael had to say about his role and what attracted him to it in the first place.
Monsters can be incredibly, they are the sublimation of our traumas in a way, or of our taboos in a sense. So it's an opportunity to embody a character that is on the margins of what's right. And that's what's fascinating. I love it because they're the ones that challenge the morality, and I love that, But with a very high ethics, especially this character. So it is quite interesting. I was very pleased, and I love the mythology behind it.
Maybe we can help each other. If you help me get the monster out of here alive, I can get you the stone.
Right, yeah, because you just have a quick chat with him, sort it out, because you're the monster's friend.
And what's interesting is that, this kind of sort of half human, half animal, half beast figure existed in all cultures, no? And that translated into more kind of radical and quite horrendous terms. It was also a thing that was used to accuse people at the same level as witches, to accuse those people that lived on a feral mode, that didn't abide to society, that kind of lived up in the mountains, no? And in France, there were many cases of werewolf kind of accusations. And so I started to get into this and started to investigate a little bit. And I think in this case, we're going to have a chance to elaborate. Elaborate on the many lives that this character has had and his kind of struggle to be considered a human, because he feels himself a human.
You see, I've got systems to manage the hurt I could cause.
I don't care about your systems. Just stay away from me until you can't.
But they work. You'd be surprised. They actually work. Because I'm not like that. I'm like this. I would never hurt you or hurt anyone. Any hunting that I do is done by a part of me that is not me. And that's not the part you're with right now.
To become the werewolf, Gael had to tap into his character's dark side. This was something that Gael not only found fun, but also fascinating.
Let's say the darkness in a way comes naturally out of this chaos, that he represents, this kind of like utter violence, I'm fascinated by it because he is very aware of what this does. He loses complete notion of what he does. And it's just the dark side of everybody. He represents the dark side of everyone. So it's fun to go into that and to go for it in this kind of defending the character kind of position as well, because allows me to, to harbor ambiguities, which is perhaps the nicest thing about being an actor, is that you can actually engage with characters that maybe are too far away from who you are, and you can actually kind of interpret them emotionally and have some emotional empathy. So I love doing something like this, and that it's so heightened as well, that it's so stylized as well. It's fantastic because, I don't know, it's like opera horror,
Like his character's transformation, Gael had to go through a transformation of his own for this role. However, unlike his on-screen counterpart, his transformation was less reliant on a new moon and more so reliant on a makeup chair. Here's Gael on what it was like to wear his beastly prosthetics.
I mean, they do a great job, and it's incredible the way that they put everything together, and the new technologies that they incorporate. I mean, the new materials for the prosthetics and all of that is incredible because they don't fall, they don't need too much retouching, and also at the same time they incorporate within your gesticulations, no, and movement. So yeah, it's I couldn't almost tell when I had them on. That was crazy.
And the use of practical effects didn't stop there. Werewolf by Night also featured practical sets, including the rotunda inside Bloodstone Manor. That area was where audiences see the core cast of monster hunters all together.
And we have to mention the estate's walled labyrinth, a combination of stonework, lush foliage, and the Bloodstone family crypt, in which the monster hunting competition takes place.
Every time I'm there in the set, I'm looking at it and I'm going, wow, this is incredible. And it's a bit of a museum as well, no? It's a gallery of a lot of the things that Ulysses Bloodstone has been collecting and hunting. And also I love the design of everything, the architecture, the landscape is fantastic. I love it. I like this, the garden. There is something kind of like from Barragan, these architects from Mexico, these kind of structures that stand up like that. And at the same time, there is something about Chirico, this Greek painter. It's fantastic because it's very dreamlike in a very, very beautiful way. I like them. I like the concept behind it a lot.
Laura Donnelly brought another Marvel horror comics character to life, Elsa Bloodstone. Elsa is also after the coveted Bloodstone, despite the complicated family history surrounding the artifact.
Elsa, after 20 years, I hope you didn't feel obligated to come. God knows the others won't like it. How long can we expect you to stay?
Give me what's mine, I'll leave now.
It's that complicated family dynamic that resonated with Laura when she first read the script.
And really what attracted me to her story so much was just this idea of what you grow up with and what you're told by your family and who you are shaped to be by them, whether that's for good or bad. Then as you get older, how you come to face that and, in a sense, break off from those expectations and just become your own person and a fully formed adult. And I think that that's something that I've thought about so much myself over the years. Like I have young children, and suddenly I find myself going from being a version of me that was the daughter in a family to now being the version of me that's a mother in a family. And I just think that those journeys and how coming up through your family can affect you for good and for bad is just really fascinating to me. And that was really what drew me towards Elsa and what I kind of dug into, first of all, with her character.
So you don't want to be like your father then?
Careful.
I understand. It must be complicated to grow up with his family.
You have no idea about my family, none.
Like Gael, Laura was drawn to working with practical effects. That, and the chance to explore a darker corner of the MCU.
It was a huge draw for me when I first spoke to Michael about what this project would be, that we were going to be dealing primarily with, suits and real people in front of us, even playing monsters. I became an actor because I want that connection. I want connection with another pair of eyes. And so it's felt like a real blessing that we get to do something as crazy and imaginative as this, and yet still, yes, it's all there. We've got the real sets. It really helps with that kind of childhood idea that I had when I wanted to be an actor, what I thought it would be to be an actor.
Elsa, are you okay?
Until you rip my throat out, I suppose I'm fine.
And also just the fact that it is in particular kind of the horror and supernatural aspect that was really appealing to me personally, because I grew up watching a lot of that stuff. My sister was really into really old horror movies and like the old Hammer horrors and the original Draculas and Frankensteins and things. So I watched a lot of quite obscure horror movies as I was kind of between the ages of about 10 and 15, I think. And I've always been really into this kind of genre. So the fact that this is Marvel's way of kind of paying tribute to those older films as well. So that was really appealing. But yeah, just that idea of doing something Marvel, but also brand new that we've never seen in this universe before. Is really cool.
Ultimately, there was one thing Laura enjoyed the most about working on Werewolf by Night.
The sheer scale and imagination of doing this project is the most fun element of it. And getting to do that and yet at the same time, work opposite an actor like Gael, where we get to really connect in certain scenes as well. It's kind of the best of both worlds for me, in terms of things that you get to do on a camera. And it's just kind of, it's an ideal job, really.
Okay, I trust you. I'm trusting you, okay?
Just get me the stone, we're good. Then you're on your own.
A year after the debut of this Marvel Studios special presentation, a full color version was released as Werewolf by Night in color. And while you can catch glimpses of it in the black and white version, the color version showcases a nod to Elsa Bloodstone's comic book origins.
So Elsa's look has been inspired by the comic version of her, but this is Elsa, I think, quite early in the process of her becoming who she is to become in her own mind. She's kind of discovering things about herself, and she has some touches of red in her hair. So we went for some references. And similarly with her costume, it's the colors that Elsa has had in the comics, being black and orange. But it also had to be very practical and very modern and just what Elsa would wear in her kind of day-to-day.
Werewolf by Night wasn't just the first special presentation from Marvel Studios. It was also a departure from the usual superheroic action that fans were used to seeing from Marvel at the time. Exploring this darker, creepier corner of the Marvel universe gave audiences a glimpse into the larger mythology within this world, pushing the narrative boundaries of the MCU.
It also marked a rare directorial turn for legendary composer Michael Giacchino, and it successfully delivered a fresh original story and introduced audiences to fan favorites like Jack Russell, Elsa Bloodstone, and of course, Man-Thing.
Werewolf by Night is more than just a Halloween special. It's become a cult favorite among Marvel fans and proof of the creative possibilities within the MCU sandbox. But don't just take our word for it. You can relive the magic of Marvel Studios' Werewolf by Night for yourself this Halloween season, in black and white or in color, streaming only on Disney+. While the Marvel Comics universe is never exactly lacking for monsters, this is the time of year where you can always expect to see the spotlight trained on our werewolves, zombies, vampires, and such.
I mean, I can't imagine they like that very much. Most monsters tend to shun bright lights, right?
Well, the monster we're focusing on today doesn't really have any issues with light. He does, however, have a very strong connection with fear, because those who know fear burn at the touch of the Man-Thing.
Preeti, listen. Allow me.
Those who know fear burn at the touch of the Man-Thing.
Ooh.
Okay, now that we got that out the way, who or what is the Man-Thing? Let's take a deep dive into his creepy swamp and find out.
We begin with Dr. Theodore Ted Sallis, a biochemistry professor recruited by government intelligence agency S.H.I.E.L.D. to recreate the super soldier serum that turned Steve Rogers into Captain America. To keep this top secret project under wraps, S.H.I.E.L.D. set Sallis up in an undisclosed lab in the middle of the Florida Everglades.
Completely ignoring security protocols, he brings his wife Ellen along, which proves to be a really bad idea. Ted and Ellen haven't actually been together all that long, and it turns out he really should not trust her.
Not so thrilled with her research-obsessed husband and looking to make a little cash on the side, Ellen sells information to the high-tech terrorist organization Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM. She not only tells them that Ted has created a new super soldier serum, but gives them the coordinates to find his lab.
Dr. Sallis is completely ambushed when heavily armed AIM agents suddenly show up to raid his workspace. Ted manages to flee into the heart of the swamp, taking the only syringe of the serum with him. But the AIM agents are in pursuit. Desperate to save himself, Ted Sallis uses a serum.
Little does he know, however, that he stumbled onto a very special spot in the Everglades, a hub of mystical energy known as the nexus of all realities. It is an all-important juncture point where every different dimension overlaps, and as such, it has always been protected by the nature around it, the swamp itself.
When Sallis takes the serum at the Nexus, the magic and science become intertwined, and the effects of the serum are greatly altered. Instead of turning Ted Sallis into a super strong, super fast superhero, it turns him into...
a monster! Yes, Ted Sallis is no longer truly human. He has become something utterly different, something half man, half thing.
A man thing, if you will.
The man-thing is 7 feet tall and composed entirely of plant matter. His body mass is a conglomeration of moss, grass, roots, algae, tubers.
Tubers? Wait, you mean like potatoes?
Yes, the man-thing is at least partially made of potatoes.
Sweet.
No, just the regular kind.
Aww.
And that veggie body of his is virtually invulnerable. Any damage to it can be reformed. Any part that gets lopped off can grow back. But it does give the man-thing a very, let's say, distinct aroma.
How distinct, you ask, dear listeners? Well, have you ever opened your fridge, having completely forgotten about the broccoli you bought like a month earlier?
Ugh.
That is what man-thing smells like. Oh, and he's got these tendrils on his face, 3 of them, framing his eerie, glowing red eyes. The tendril in the middle sort of looks like a nose, but it kind of looks more like an elephant trunk, if an elephant trunk were made of asparagus.
The man-thing technically has no mouth, and therefore doesn't speak. He does, however, have empathic powers that allow him to read human emotions. And the one emotion that totally triggers the man-thing is fear. Any living creature exhibiting fear in man-thing's presence will literally catch on fire if they touch him.
Which brings us back to our origin story. Now that Ted Sallis is a man-thing, those AIM scientists who are chasing him are not long for this world. They'd gone into the swamp after an unarmed dude in a lab coat, and now they find themselves face to tendril with a 7-foot salad. You want to guess as to whether or not these guys showed fear?
Yeah, they went up in flames. Unfortunately, Ellen felt the power of the man-thing as well. As Ted's psyche dwindled away, man-thing reached out for Ellen and, well, fear. She was horribly burned, but still managed to survive.
And with that, the last vestiges of Ted Sallis were also gone. He's technically still in there somewhere, but for the most part, Man-Thing operates on pure instinct. The creature sloshes around Florida's swamps, drawn from place to place by the output of strong human emotions. This usually leads him to instances of the wicked preying on the weak, where the Man-Thing intervenes to provide his own brand of mystic justice.
He's basically a force of nature now, and has become a guardian of the Nexus. So in addition to saving random humans from evildoers, he must also frequently protect the Everglades dimensional crossroads from all sorts of demons, evil wizards, and alien threats that would seek to command the Nexus for themselves.
With him being a giant lump of vegetation, you might expect the Man-Thing to be something of a loner, and he generally is, though he has engaged in the occasional team-up. He's assisted a bevy of superheroes over the years, including Spider-Man, the Hulk, and Doctor Strange, among others.
He's gone on a bizarre number of adventures with Howard the Duck.
Man-Thing is a member of the Midnight Suns, too, and also a recurring member of the Legion of Monsters, along with Ghost Rider, Morbius the Living Vampire, Werewolf by Night, Manphibian, and the Living Mummy. They're sort of an unofficial team that gets together whenever the universe faces a threat that is best dealt with by spooky folks.
Perhaps most interestingly, Man-Thing joins the Thunderbolts for a while. He played a pivotal role as the team's resident teleporter, using the nexus of all realities to take the Thunderbolts wherever they needed to go. It's during his Thunderbolts tenure that Man-Thing learns to truly communicate with humans, speaking to them through a sort of telepathy.
The best part of Man-Thing's universal language, as they call it, is that everyone hears his voice in their heads differently, depending on what they expect to hear. While one person might hear the creature speak like an erudite scholar, another might hear him talk like he's a street punk with a Cockney accent.
And there will always be that little bit of Ted Sallis trying to get out of Man-Thing, and those who are trying to reach that last remnant of Ted, like his wife Ellen and the son she never told Ted she'd been pregnant with.
Damn, Ellen. To sum up, if you're ever confronted by a shambling mound of kale with glowing red eyes, do not panic. Do not show even the slightest glint of fear.
Which, of course, sounds incredibly hard when faced with something like that.
If you don't, it's barbecue time, and you're the one being barbecued.
You could just stay out of the swamp.
True, though with access to the Nexus, the Man-Thing could be anywhere, at any time.
You know, I think I'm gonna skip that veggie wrap I brought for lunch.
Probably a good idea.
Kai Kawade is an 11-year-old known to the world as Kid Kaiju, an inhuman with the ability to create and summon monsters simply by drawing them. And in 2017's Monsters Unleashed number 7, written by Cullen Bunn, Kid Kaiju has inadvertently summoned a rage-filled, untamed nightmare monster. Alongside monster hunter extraordinaire Elsa Bloodstone, Kid Kaiju manages to outrun the monster and briefly take cover. But he worries that by running away, he'll actually be enabling the monster and cause more harm, or worse, mass casualties. Kid Kaiju believes that the monster is his responsibility and fears that by not taking care of it now, it would only make him the monster. Elsa Bloodstone puts the kibosh on his self-doubt with these encouraging words. So you failed. Join the club. I can't save every person on the planet from every vampire attack. That doesn't stop me from staking every bloodsucker I see. Do you think Captain Bloody Marvel feels just peachy every time some disaster strikes in one place while she's saving lives in another? Heroes fall down, Kai, but they also get back up.
Next week on the Official Marvel Podcast, we'll hear from sound designer Jonathan Grieber on how he designed the stomach-churning sounds of Marvel Animation's Marvel Zombies.
You start playing with the frequency range and you start saying, okay, well, let's make the Banshees a little bit higher pitched, maybe to cut through that low end of the water. So that was really satisfying once we dialed that in.
That's it for today, though. If you haven't already, please make sure you drop a rating, comment, review, and tell a friend about us.
This episode was hosted by Preeti Chibber and me, Evan Narcis.
Our producers are Jasmine Estrada and Anita Flores. Additional writing by Christopher Healy.
Thanks to our Senior Manager of Audio Production and Development, Brad Barton, and our Production Manager, Emily Godfrey.
Mixed by Emma Munger.
Our theme music is by Ida Akbal.
Our executive producers are Larissa Rosen and Jesse Berger.
As always, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.